Circulating online right now are leaked photos showing top NFL and NBA players at a secret casino night. But the real trouble isn't the pictures, it's the videos. Hidden cameras caught moments no one was supposed to see, like this one.
The quarterback then signaled secretly the information he had received from others to others at the table.
In this video, I'll show you the leaked photos and who's now under fire. The leaked photo that shook the sports world. It started with one photograph, one dimly lit image, a handful of NBA and NFL stars huddled around a velvet poker table in a Manhattan penthouse, the kind of place where secrets are traded more than cards. At first, it looked harmless, just another boys' night out, but within hours, the photo went viral and the internet exploded. Because in that one shot, viewers spotted Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, and, believe it or not, two current NFL players whose faces had been blurred by an anonymous uploader. The caption read, "They thought no one would find out," and that was all it took. Within a day, hashtags like Casino Night Leak and Mob Betting Ring trended across Twitter and Reddit. Sports bloggers went ballistic. The NBA issued a short, tense statement saying they were aware of the situation, but insiders were already whispering that this wasn't some casual poker game. No, this was allegedly the same underground casino ring that federal agents had been tracking for months. And if what's being said is true, then the viral photos might be the first visual proof of something much darker, a secret world where pro athletes, mob fixers, and celebrity gamblers collide under the neon hum of New York nightlife. What's wild is how fast this story has unraveled. The more people dig, the more shocking it gets. And we're going to break it down piece by piece, starting with the man who blew the lid off the NBA's quietest scandal in decades.
The latest gambling scandal that has broken in the NBA 18 months after Jonte Porter was banned from the NBA for life. We have fresh allegations involving Terry Rozier with his time, connected to his time with the Charlotte Hornets. And we have a coach in Chauncey Billups dragged into all this, along with Damon Jones, a former NBA player who is involved in multiple scandals here. So
that's how the leak began, through a single televised segment meant to recap what was already being called the NBA's dirtiest gambling scandal since the 2000s. But even then, no one expected that the viral casino night photo would tie into it, because until that moment, everything had been whispers, sealed indictments, federal investigations, and vague mentions of organized crime involvement. Then came the photo, a single flash of a camera, and the entire house of cards began to shake. The timeline is hazy, but here's what multiple sources, from journalists to former mob figures, are now piecing together. For months, federal agents had been investigating a pair of operations they called Zen Diagram and Nothing But Net. Both were linked to illegal poker games run out of luxury apartments in Manhattan and Los Angeles. According to reports from federal court filings, these weren't your average high-stakes poker nights. They were rigged games, complete with modified shuffling machines and hidden cameras in the tables. And the players weren't random businessmen or wannabe gamblers. They were big names. Who doesn't want to sit next to the head coach of the Trailblazers? One anchor quipped. That head coach was Chauncey Billups, a former NBA Finals MVP, known for his leadership, integrity, and clean reputation. So why was he there? According to prosecutors, Billups wasn't just there to play. He was allegedly the face card, the recognizable celebrity meant to give the game's credibility, to lure in wealthy marks. And alongside him, none other than Terry Rozier, the fiery guard once known as Scary Terry, who'd just been traded to the Miami Heat. Now, let's be clear. These are allegations, not convictions. Both men are entitled to their day in court, but the details coming out are grim. Prosecutors say the casino events were connected to mafia-linked gambling networks, and that several athletes were used, knowingly or unknowingly, to attract targets into friendly poker nights that were actually fixed. If true, that means these weren't private charity nights or casual off-season hangouts. These were fronts for organized gambling operations, run with shocking sophistication. But what really made headlines wasn't just the poker, it was the bets placed on live NBA games.
Prosecutors say that he was in on it, that he was part of the scheme to lure people in and to lend this an air of legitimacy. He will be in federal court in Oregon this afternoon. The second investigation is about throwing basically NBA games and then profiting on inside information.
That's when Terry Rozier's name began to appear in court documents, and things went from scandalous to shocking. The indictment alleges that Rozier faked an injury during a March 2023 Hornets game against the Pelicans, allowing his associates to place more than $200,000 in prop bets that he would score under his projected total. Rozier played just 9 minutes that night. The bets hit. His associates allegedly split the winnings. Sound familiar? It It should, because the FBI says that same pattern mirrored the Jonte Porter scandal, where the Raptors forward was banned for life for manipulating prop bets. And this wasn't happening in isolation. According to one ex-mobster who broke down the case, this entire setup had the fingerprints of organized crime all over it. 4 of the 5 New York families were involved, former mob boss Michael Franzese said, and they were using NBA players as bait. That's right, Franzese, a man who once ran gambling operations for the Colombo crime family, said this kind of crossover between sports and the streets is nothing new. Players are easy prey, he explained. They owe debts, they get in deep. Before long, they're doing whatever they have to do to get out of it. It's chilling, but it also makes sense. Because if you look closely at the casino night photo that's circulating online, something stands out. In the corner of the frame, half hidden behind a wall of cigar smoke, there's a man wearing a gold watch and a dark gray suit. Someone sports fans wouldn't recognize, but investigators sure would. He's believed to be De Niro Laster, one of the alleged middlemen named in the federal indictment. The same man who reportedly placed insider bets based on Rozier's injury. And this is where things start to get surreal. Because right next to him, laughing with a drink in hand, is someone who appears to be an NFL player, a Pro Bowl defensive back, according to those who've seen the full, uncropped version of the image. That's when people realized this wasn't just an NBA problem. This was an inner sports scandal, and the secret casino night wasn't just a poker party. It was, allegedly, a nexus for gambling information flowing between NFL and NBA circles, with mafia fixers somewhere in the middle. At first, the leagues denied any connection. The NBA said the timing of the leaked photo was coincidental, while the NFL's PR team called it nonsensical tabloid speculation. But the coincidences were piling up. The FBI's nothing but net operation had reportedly been tracking high-value sports bets placed through crypto exchanges, funneled through fake accounts tied to shell corporations. According to Franzese's breakdown, some of those accounts had connections in both the basketball and football world, the same overlap that the viral photo now seemed to confirm visually. Look, Franzese said, these poker games have been going on for decades, but when you bring in organized crime and modern tech, crypto laundering, online prop bets, data leaks, it becomes a perfect storm. And that storm is exactly what the NBA's been desperate to avoid.
Are you surprised that we're starting to see this more and more in the NBA? Look, when you were playing, this kind of sports gambling wasn't as available. You could still do it. You had bookies. You could go to Vegas. There's lots of things that you could do. But you couldn't pick up your phone in Boston and place a bet, hours before a game, where you didn't have people associated with you, placing the kind of bets that people associated with Terry Rozier were allegedly playing. But
back in the day, gambling in the NBA was whispered about, the kind of thing players did privately over card games on team planes. But with sports betting apps now just a tap away, the temptation has never been greater. Players don't need bookies anymore. They just need friends who know how to make bets, friends with offshore accounts, friends who don't ask too many questions. That's how this scandal grew in the shadows, not through blatant cheating, but through whispers, through small favors that spiraled into federal indictments. And this latest casino night photo, it's the spark that lit the powder keg, because now questions are being asked, not just about Rozier and Billups, but about who else was in that room. Some claim that at least 2 NFL players attended the event as guests of Damon Jones, a former Cavs player turned assistant coach. According to a CNBC segment analyzing the indictment, Jones had allegedly reached out to multiple players for inside info, including one prominent Lakers player believed to be LeBron James. Let's be clear, LeBron has not been accused of any wrongdoing. In fact, a source close to his team said he had no idea the information was being sold. But the idea that an assistant coach could use friendly conversations to feed betting markets, that's terrifying for the league. Because once that door opens, the integrity of the game itself is at risk. The timing couldn't be worse. The NBA and NFL have both been expanding partnerships with major sportsbooks like DraftKings and FanDuel, turning gambling into a central part of fan engagement. Prop bets, player parlays, live lines, it's all part of the show now. But this story exposes the dark flip side. Every sponsorship dollar, every official gaming partner announcement is built on the idea that the games are fair. If fans start doubting that, even for a second, the entire system collapses. Now here's the part the leagues really don't want to talk about. According to one insider, the casino night wasn't a one-time event. It was part of a recurring series of private games, hosted by a shadowy figure with connections to both the entertainment world and East Coast organized crime. That host's name hasn't been confirmed yet, but insiders refer to him as the broker. According to reports, the broker's games were allegedly honey traps for athletes, designed to pull them into debts and favors they could never easily escape. And the leaked photos? They might be the first cracks in an empire that's been hiding in plain sight for years. The broker, the bets, and the lies. What really happened. Inside, the photo was just the beginning. By the time federal agents raided the Manhattan penthouse, the same one seen in the leaked casino night photo, the games had already moved, the servers were wiped, and millions in crypto had vanished across digital wallets that couldn't be traced. To the public, it was just another viral scandal. But behind closed doors, the leagues were in panic mode. The NBA called an emergency meeting. The NFL quietly reached out to federal contacts, and within hours, both organizations were asking the same question: who leaked the photos? Because whoever didn't just expose a poker night, they exposed a network that stretched from Las Vegas to Brooklyn, from crypto traders in Dubai to bookmakers in Miami, and sitting right at the center of it, someone the FBI called the broker. Nobody seems to know his real name. All anyone has are fragments, a handful of photos, voice recordings, and a few cryptic mentions in federal transcripts. But what we do know comes from a man who's been there before. Michael Franzese, former capo regime for the Colombo crime family, says the operation bears the same structure as the old-school mafia rackets, only now it's cloaked in luxury and legitimized by professional athletes. Any bookmaker that can handle a big bet is going to be involved with organized crime, Franzese said. If you're dealing with someone who can carry those bets, they're not operating alone. That's the chilling part, because the deeper investigators dug, the clearer it became. These poker nights weren't isolated games. They were fronts for data laundering. And data in this case didn't just mean money. It meant information, insider knowledge about player injuries, rest schedules, and locker room dynamics. Exactly the kind of info that prop bettors and offshore books would pay millions for. According to FBI records cited in this CNBC report, defendants allegedly received non-public NBA injury and player participation information to place fraudulent prop bets. This is where it gets surreal, because some of those defendants weren't mobsters. They were players and coaches. Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, and Damon Jones. Three names that, just a few years ago, were synonymous with basketball success, were now being spoken about in the same breath as wire fraud and money laundering. And that phrase kept coming up again and again in every official document: conspiracy to commit wire fraud. It sounds clinical, but behind those words is a devastating picture of what insiders say really happened during those late-night poker sessions. Imagine the scene. Dim light, expensive cigars, a table surrounded by millionaires who all think they're the smartest guy in the room. In the corner, a small digital device disguised as a card shuffler hums quietly. What the players don't realize is that it's a modified unit, one that sends real-time card data to a remote receiver. Every hand is being tracked, every shuffle rigged. And the house? It's not a casino. It's a crew, a hybrid of legitimate investors, crypto analysts, and old-world enforcers who make sure everyone plays along. When the cards are dealt, the athletes laugh. They think they're in control, but they're not the sharks. They're the fish. That's the word prosecutors used, fish. And the people reeling them in were called face cards. Celebrity players used as bait to lend credibility to the game. Chauncey Billups, according to the FBI's unsealed files, was allegedly one of those face cards. And when the feds raided the site of one of these poker nights, they didn't just find chips and cards, they found a server rack. Inside, encrypted logs of live NBA game data, injury updates, and private player communications, all funneled into a dark web betting network. It was, according to agents, but this is where the NBA's nightmare collided with the NFL's. The leaked photos didn't just show NBA faces. On the right side of the table, caught mid-conversation, was a man believed to be a current Pro Bowl cornerback, known for his sponsorship with one of the league's official sports betting partners. That's right, an athlete paid to promote betting apps was allegedly caught at an illegal casino night. It was a PR explosion waiting to happen. The NFL scrambled to downplay it. Statements were released. Lawyers were called. But privately, investigators were confirming that the same offshore accounts used to place NBA prop bets were also being used for NFL in-game wagers. And that's where the broker came in. According to an internal memo leaked to journalists, the broker operated as a bridge, connecting high-earning athletes from different sports to exclusive investment opportunities that often started as poker nights. Once trust was established, the deals evolved into information trades. In other words, the broker sold access, not cards. Access to stars, access to data, access to leverage.
Two different investigations. One that involved the Trailblazers head coach, Chauncey Billups, was about illegal poker and organized crime.
It wasn't until that the true scale became clear. The FBI discovered that the same technology used to cheat poker players was being used to record player conversations during these events. Think about that. Hidden cameras and microphones embedded in custom-made poker tables, capturing everything from contract talks to injury complaints. Those recordings, sources say, were then sold to offshore sportsbooks and private clients in Europe and Asia, markets where regulation is loose and inside information is priceless. That's when the picture started to come together. Casino Night was an intelligence operation disguised as entertainment, and the man who predicted this decades ago, Michael Franzese. His words hit harder now than ever, because what's unfolding today mirrors the same playbook used in the 1980s, only with better tech and global reach. The more you legalize gambling, the more cracks appear for people to exploit. And as Franzese pointed out, when players get in debt, they don't think about tomorrow. They think about getting out today. That desperation is what makes them targets. So how deep did this go? According to court filings referenced in multiple reports, the FBI's Operation Zen diagram and Nothing But Net spanned 11 states, involving more than 34 individuals. It connected NBA players, coaches, crypto traders, and, surprisingly, one NFL team staffer. That staffer, sources claim, had access to pre-game injury reports and used them to place bets through offshore accounts linked to the same shell companies that funded the poker ring. In short, this wasn't an NBA scandal anymore. It was a multi-league infiltration. Back in New York, whispers started circulating around the athletes' circles. Some players began deleting social media posts. Others distanced themselves completely, claiming they were invited but never attended. But then another shoe dropped. A second batch of photos surfaced online, this time from what looked like a Las Vegas suite. The lighting, the decor, the poker layout, everything matched the setup seen in the Manhattan photos. But this time, the faces were clearer. One image showed a well-known wide receiver laughing next to Damon Jones, stacks of chips in front of them. Another showed a recognizable NBA assistant coach clinking glasses with a man wearing a championship ring. Only this wasn't a basketball ring. It was a Super Bowl ring. Within hours, hashtags like #NFLXNBA and Casino Night 2 were trending across social media, and that's when the leaks turned into damage control. The NBA's commissioner reportedly called an emergency press conference promising transparency and accountability, but insiders weren't buying it. Transparency? One former league official said privately, "You can't have transparency when your own data is the currency being traded at these tables." That statement was soon echoed by financial analysts, who noted that gambling firms had flagged unusual betting activity on several NBA and NFL games over the past 6 months. It wasn't enough to trigger alerts, but it was enough to suggest coordination. In one case, a line shifted minutes before kickoff, after a player mysteriously tweaked his hamstring during warm-ups. The under hit perfectly. Sound familiar? It should, because that's the exact method Terry Rozier allegedly used when he faked an injury during a 2023 game, according to prosecutors. The patterns were identical, and that's when investigators started connecting the NFL side of the ring to the same crypto wallets traced to the NBA's poker events. This was no coincidence. This was architecture, and the broker was at the top of the pyramid. One FBI official described him as the bridge between legitimacy and the underground, a man fluent in both Wall Street finance and street-level coercion. He didn't need to threaten players. He just offered them an easy way to win back what they'd lost. That's how it always starts. A friendly game, a small loan, a favor, then comes the call. "Hey, you're sitting tonight, right? Mind letting me know before the news breaks?" One harmless question turns into a federal crime. The players didn't need to throw games. They just needed to control information. The final raid, Secrets of the Casino Night Files. The fallout from the incident has been immediate. Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups have been placed on indefinite leave. Damon Jones faces investigation in multiple states, and whispers about Player 3, believed to be LeBron James, continue to circulate, even though he's been cleared of wrongdoing. But the real danger isn't just about the names we know, it's about the names we don't, because the FBI's list of unnamed co-conspirators includes references to multiple NFL athletes and unidentified high-profile sports figures. That means this story is far from over. As one sports analyst put it, when bad stuff happens, these are examples of the system working, but it's also proof that the cracks are real. The system works until it doesn't, and those cracks, they've now split the surface of the two most powerful sports leagues in America. What began as a viral photo has snowballed into a full-blown multi-league integrity crisis, a story that now stretches from mob-run poker rooms to Silicon Valley betting servers. And as federal investigators widen their probe, one question remains: who leaked the Casino Night photo, and why now? Some believe it was a whistleblower inside the league office. Others think it was a rival within the gambling ring itself, a message to the broker that his time was up. But there's also a third theory, that the photo wasn't leaked accidentally. It was released strategically as part of a power play to expose corruption that had grown too big to contain. Whatever the truth, it's clear that the next wave of revelations is coming. By now, the world had seen the photo and the leaks that followed. But what no one expected was how deep the roots of this network went. Behind the glitter of private poker nights and high-end parties, there was a machine, a digital, data-driven empire built on information, and it was starting to collapse. The man the FBI called the broker was still missing, and as the investigation expanded into 2 continents, new names began to surface: agents, financial advisors, trainers, even media insiders, all part of what federal agents were calling the ledger. In the weeks that followed, investigators pieced together the puzzle. Every game, every bet, every suspicious transaction traced back to one source, a private data firm disguised as a player management agency called the Meridian Group. Officially, Meridian helped athletes manage sponsorships and digital assets. Unofficially, they were collecting real-time injury data and selling it to investors, gamblers hidden behind fake crypto accounts. They didn't need to bribe players. They just needed access to medical records, text messages, locker room chatter, everything a betting syndicate could use to predict outcomes. And it all started from those casino nights. The broker had built the perfect trap. He invited athletes under the pretense of exclusive investment clubs, surrounded them with luxury, the kind of environment where the air itself whispered you belong here. He knew the psychology of fame. Athletes who'd spent their lives under public scrutiny craved spaces where they could finally relax, where the cameras were off, the drinks were strong, and everyone in the room was family. That's when he made his move. A friendly loan here, a "can you introduce me" there. Slowly, the walls between sports, business, and the underground began to blur. By the time the FBI caught wind, the casino nights had already become information exchanges, where bets were placed in whispers long before tip-off or kickoff ever happened. When the raids finally happened, it was chaos. Agents stormed penthouses in Manhattan, Vegas, and Miami simultaneously. Servers were seized, devices confiscated, and dozens of encrypted phones collected. But the broker vanished. No record of him crossing borders, no trace of his crypto keys, just a trail of erased files and silent associates. It was as if he'd anticipated the entire downfall. That's when investigators found the vault. Hidden inside a luxury condo registered under a shell company, agents discovered a steel cabinet filled with ledgers, physical, handwritten records. Each page listed dates, initials, bet amounts, and cryptic notations like C Night, Cross League. It wasn't just basketball anymore. It wasn't just football. It was everyone. Fighters, golfers, even entertainers. Anyone who had access to information that could swing odds or attract wealthy clients. This wasn't a gambling ring. It was a data economy built on secrecy. And every casino night had been a recruiting event. When the press got hold of this detail, the internet erupted. Headlines screamed, "The broker files exposed. Athletes linked to underground info exchange. New crypto frontier or global fix." But beyond the noise, there was something bigger, something darker emerging. Because as federal investigators decrypted messages from the seized servers, one phrase appeared again and again: control the data, control the game. It was the broker's motto. And now, for the first time, people began to realize what that really meant. At first, the leagues tried to contain it. The Federation of Professional Sports issued blanket statements about integrity and cooperation. Officials promised full transparency, but players started to speak out. A former All-Star gave a teary interview saying, "We were told these games were harmless, that it was all just bonding. Nobody said anything about information trading." Another, still anonymous, admitted that injury reports were currency, worth more than the salary of some rookies. That was when the narrative shifted. It wasn't just about greed, it was about trust. Fans began to question everything. Every clutch miss, every substitution, every load management rest. Was it strategy or manipulation? The broker's legend grew in the shadows. Some said he was a former analytics executive turned rogue. Others believed he was a front, a face for a much larger entity hidden behind corporate walls. A whistleblower from within the Meridian Group hinted that the operation wasn't just about profit, it was about leverage, she said in a televised interview. They didn't just want to make money off games, they wanted control over contracts, over media narratives, over who got traded and who didn't. That revelation changed everything. The casino nights weren't just about gambling, they were auditions for influence, and the athletes who attended were unknowingly giving away more than money, they were giving away power. Then came the leak that ended it all. An anonymous email sent to major news outlets contained 200 gigabytes of encrypted files labeled labeled Project C-Night. Inside were photos, transaction records, text logs, and a full list of participants. The broker's empire was finally exposed. The names inside weren't just athletes. They included team executives, financial advisors, media producers, even a handful of lawmakers connected to legalized sports betting initiatives. It wasn't a scandal anymore. It was a revelation. The fallout was catastrophic. Major betting companies suspended partnerships. Sponsors withdrew. Federal hearings were scheduled to investigate how a single figure could manipulate both the sports and financial sectors at once. Athletes lost endorsements overnight. Some faced charges. Others claimed they were coerced. And the fans? The millions who built their weekends around the games were left questioning if they'd ever watched something real. One viral tweet summed up the national mood. We weren't watching sports. We were watching a business pretending to be competition. But here's where the story took an unexpected turn. Even as the broker's empire burned, his ideology survived. Data, access, control. In a digital age, that's the new form of currency. Weeks after the final raid, anonymous betting markets began reappearing online, this time decentralized, blockchain-based, untouchable by regulators. And at the top of their landing page, a single quote flashed across the screen. Control the data, control the game. The broker's words, still echoing, still alive. What began as a photo became a mirror, one that showed us just how easily the line between competition and corruption can blur. Maybe the games were never fixed. Maybe they were just owned by people who knew how to bend them. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.